Hello. Um, Today I wanted to talk just briefly, really, about how I think we should be responding to the terrorist atrocities that we're getting every now and then. Recently, Brussels, previously Paris, the 7/7 in London, and things like this. And I know the conspiracy theorists say these are false flag attacks, and whether they are or not, it doesn't matter actually. Um, in From my perspective, how do we react? First of all, well, we say "Je suis Charlie." We change our Facebook logos. We have the media screaming about it for days on end on the TV and telling us we're all going to die. And of course, the politicians feel they have to do something, so they make some cosmetic changes to the law and generally reduce our freedoms. And thinking about this, I've come to the conclusion that actually this must be what the terrorists want, because we do this every time. And so they keep attacking and we keep responding in the same ways. So presumably this is part of their strategy. Now, therefore, of course, we shouldn't be doing this. Why is it their strategy? I think because our society is so incredibly rich and powerful in comparison to their own, that they can't obviously attack us head on. They have to use asymmetric warfare methods. They go for weak targets. They attack occasionally, not all the time. Obviously, if they were to confront us head on in an all-out war, they would be exterminated. The West can crush any country in the world, probably with the possible exceptions of Russia and China. And obviously we don't want to go attacking nuclear-powered nations anyway, and ideally we wouldn't be attacking any nations anyway, but that's another question. So obviously the terrorists use these cheap and cheerful methods, or maybe not so cheerful. And why do they do that? What do they want? Why do they want us to react this way? Well, I think the point is that when we all go, oh my god, this is terrible, I'm going to show solidarity with everybody, and everybody posts on Facebook about how terrible it is, this puts a lot of pressure on the politicians, actually. They can't just ignore it. They need to do, or be seen to do, something. And so they do some knee-jerk, reflexive action, like tighten up security. What they actually do, generally, is reduce our liberties. So I'm thinking that is actually the aim of the terrorists, to reduce our liberties. Because our societies in the West are strong because of our freedoms. Those freedoms are what makes our society work and what makes it so wealthy. This is where we get our creativity from. We're allowed to just express ourselves and make money doing it, and everybody benefits. If they, over a long period of time, a generation or two, manage to whittle away those liberties with needless security measures, or badly thought out knee-jerk security measures, they will weaken our society, perhaps to the point where they can try other strategies. It will become harder and harder for us to combat them, basically. So I'm thinking, how should we react? Sadly, we should ignore what they do, actually. The politicians and the security forces will come up with methods for combating them, but we should not be giving them, as Margaret Thatcher put it, the oxygen of publicity. The media really should not be screaming about it day after day after day. It should be a news report, this has happened. And the rest of us, I think, should just carry on with our lives. Obviously, if we're involved in it or we know the people, we send or receive condolences as appropriate. But for those of us who don't know anybody that's involved directly in these incidents, we should not react. We should just say, oh well, that's sad, get on with our lives. Take the pressure off, because terrorists don't want us to ignore it. But that's what we should do, therefore. Think about this. In the 80s, the IRA had been bombing and bombing for years in Northern Ireland and Britain for decades, and really people were pretty bored with it, actually. So it wasn't working for them. Also, the Soviet Union stopped funding them because it was collapsing. And Margaret Thatcher was clamping down on publicity for all their actions and stuff. And it worked, actually. They changed their tactics. They started going for commercial targets and for political targets rather than the general public. Indeed, they started warning the public that there was a bomb here, move away. Because they realised that their previous strategy was counterproductive. And this is why in the City of London you have these concrete blocks, you have traffic calming narrowings of the streets around the perimeter of the city and in important areas, and police boxes about the place. These were used then to try and prevent those car bombings. And in the end, the politicians actually negotiated with the terrorists, and we have a Stormont Agreement, and we have ex-IRA terrorists in Parliament in Northern Ireland. Because they had to do something practical rather than just letting innocent people getting killed all the time to no effect. Because they were the targets then. So if we ignore the terrorists now from the Middle East in the same way, get bored with it, don't react to it, leave it, the politicians will be left probably forced to do something actually effective. Talk to them, stop bombing them maybe, or conquer them totally, one or the other, but they will be forced to deal with it. Right now, they don't have to, and they don't. All they're doing is pretending and screwing down our liberties, because that's the cheapest, quickest way to get things done. Do you agree? Do you disagree? Am I wrong? Am I right? I think I'm right, but maybe I'm not. Tell me about it. Okay, bye for now.